last time on Oz Hour?
Okay, last time on Oz Hour, Dorothy meets a shaggy man, and the shaggy man wants to go to a little city or ask for directions for a city called Buttersworth. Butter something. And so then they go hit the town, and she's like, we're going this way, we're going that way. And then all of a sudden they run into all these different types of roads, and she's like, oh no, I'm lost, I don't know where we are, and there's thousands of roads, what do I do? And he's like, well, let's just go this way. And so they go down one of the roads and they meet this little sailor boy, Button Bright. And he is so fucking annoying. Well, he annoys the shit out of Dorothy because he's like, I don't know. And then they continue on and they run into this little village with little foxes, and they welcome them in, and they're like, hello. Yeah, it's Ozma's birthday and we're trying to go. And so then they meet the king and they do all these things. And now, yeah, we're done.
Hi there, and welcome to Oz Hour, the only place where you can hear everything you never knew about the wonderful and strange land of Oz.
That's right. With the help of some alcohol, we will be discussing each of the 14 books in L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series.
Today, we will be continuing with Book 5, The Road to Oz, covering chapters 4 through 7.
We're your hosts, Blake Stone.
And Wyatt Swangham.
And joining us, as always, is our resident Oz initiate, Hannah Aguirre.
Oh,
no.
I don't know why that song stuck in my head.
I'm glad you got it out of your system.
Thank you.
Hannah, you just played Last Time On, where you recapped what happened last time on Oz Hour. It took Hannah about 1 minute and 8 seconds to cover it, and to be honest, you did pretty good. I would just say that the Shaggy Man wanted to know the way to Butterfield.
Not Buttersworth.
I was like, yeah, she put a bunch of syrup in her coffee this morning, and I think it took over her brain. Also, they choose to go down the 7th road, since 7 is a lucky number for little girls named Dorothy. Can't possibly forget that.
Also, importantly, the Shaggy Man has a love magnet, which is a tiny brown magnet that makes everybody love him.
Oh, I can't believe I missed that.
Yeah. But overall, though, decent recap. It did take 1 minute and 8 seconds, and last episode was the shortest episode we've ever had. So you probably could have done a little better than 1 minute and 8, but still fairly decent.
I love to add my flair.
Yeah. A lot of mouth sounds.
So before we started recording, Wyatt went ahead and whipped up some cocktails. So this morning we will be enjoying...
That's right. This is the first morning recording we've ever done, so we went semi-mimosa inspired. What we're drinking today is a dewdrop, the name of which obviously will become clear later on, and the recipe for which you can find on our Instagram at Oz Hour Podcast. Forgive us, this has blue curacao in it, and we don't love that.
All right, slurp it up. I don't mind that so much.
No, yeah, that's fine. Chapter 4, King Dox.
So when we were last with our friends, King Dox was like, oh, wow, your new friend seems so bright and great. And they're like, well, that's his name. It's Button Bright.
Yeah.
So King Dox is looking at Button Bright. Button Bright is looking at King Dox. King Dox never seen a fresher, fairer face on a child. And Button Bright's never seen a talking fox dressed up in a costume.
Oh,
So
yeah.
So they're both pretty interested in
Someone
each other.
gonna die?
So the king is like, oh, like, how do you like foxes? And Button Bright, of course, says, don't know. And that makes sense, according to the king, because he's like, well, yeah, you don't know us. How can you say? He's like, what do you think my name is? And I'm like, why is this guy talking to Button Bright
also,
like this?
leave Button Bright alone. And why the fuck do you think he can just guess your name? Like, are you trying to test if he's like clairvoyant or something?
He's curious.
Yeah. Well, yeah. But Button Bright is like, don't know. And then the fox is like, oh, how could he know? Why should he be able to know? What a clever boy that he doesn't know.
Yeah,
What?
okay. I mean,
maybe L. Frank Baum is being like, it's smarter to admit that you don't know than acting like you know.
Okay, well, take notes. Take notes from your own book. But so the king tells Button Bright that his private name is Dox. But since a king can't be called his private name, his official kingly name is King Renard IV. Renard with the accent on the Ren.
And then
Renard.
Renard. Yeah. That's how they say it. But Button Bright is like, okay, well, what is Ren? And the king is like, oh, how smart you are to ask. What's Ren? Whoa, whoa. Like, he just goes off. It's insane. And I don't understand why. Because all the boy asked was just, what is that sound you made?
One of the
And it's nothing.
soldiers in the throne room is like, that question is what your majesty might call a foxy one. And it's like, okay, what is happening? Leave Button Bright alone.
I honestly want to be there.
This is camp. This is drag.
Yeah.
It's, yeah.
But so the king is like, okay, Button Bright, like, having told you my name, what would you call me? Now, Hannah, if the king's private name is Dox and his official name as the king is Renard IV, what would you call him?
King Dox.
Interesting.
Well, you're quite clever.
That's what Button Bright also chooses, and isn't he the cleverest boy?
Oh my God, I'm Button Bright. Yeah.
I'm Button Bright.
All you say is don't know and King Dogs.
Yes.
Eat hot chip and lie.
Yeah. But the king does just completely just go off at this, and he just fawns over Button Bright, and he's like, oh, do you know why 2 and 2 make 4? And Button Bright's like, no. Well, that's clever, isn't it?
Oh my gosh. None of us knows why 2 and 2 is 4. We just accept it. Well done, Button Bright.
Yeah.
I don't know what is happening right
This
now.
is
I want
so
out. I want it to end.
Well,
Let's go back to the drum.
we will be exiting this bubble of time because that's when King Dox says something interesting,
Okay.
which is that Button Bright's beautiful blue eyes and his curled golden hair doesn't go well with such wisdom. He looks so young and not as clever as he truly is.
So he's gonna do.
Makeover.
He's gonna do Button
Yeah.
Bright a great
Big
favor.
makeover.
We need a montage.
Get up in the morning, light my mama. That's the song in the makeover.
That's
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, with that playing in the background.
Except it's boys just
Yeah.
want to have fun.
And it's Button Bright's voice.
Don't know.
But yeah, King Dox is like, I will confer upon you the head of a fox, so that you may hereafter look as bright as you really are.
So the king waves his paw, and Button Bright's head is transformed into a fox's head.
Oh, you killed her.
What?
Dorothy screams and
No.
probably makes the sound you just made.
Dorothy just hears the words and she's like, no, don't do that, don't do that. They watch Button Bright's head turn.
Ew.
into a
It like
fox's
morphs
head.
like a werewolf, like in those movies.
Yes,
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like
It's like
neck break.
It's the Thriller
the
music
skin
video.
peels off.
But
Poor
Dorothy,
Button Bright.
after like his head transforms, Dorothy like literally like shrinks away. She's like, oh no, like, oh my god, you're a fox person.
That's
Oh my
dreadful.
God.
It's horrible. Button Bright is sobbing.
Okay, but
Aw.
how
Oh my God, I'm
cute.
gonna cry.
I know, poor baby. I'm sure he looks adorable in his little sailor
But
outfit.
yeah, he's wearing a
Oh
little
my
sailor
God,
outfit
he
with a
does.
fox
I
head.
forgot.
The tears are coming out of his fox eyes.
I'm gonna cry.
But yeah, like Dorothy's like, please don't, like, stop. And King Dox is like, sorry, it's too late. I already did it.
No
I
takesy
can't.
backsies?
No takesy backsies.
Yeah.
But he's like, if you prove to be as clever as Button Bright, I'll give you a fox head too.
No.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to be clever in this room right now.
She's like, I don't want that. It's dreadful. Button Bright continues to cry.
No.
And the king kind of just is like, oh, like, I'm surprised you'd say it's dreadful, but, like, I'm a great judge of beauty, and the fox head is much handsomer than his old one. Don't cry, little boy. Laugh and be proud because you are so highly favored.
Yeah.
And I'm like, laugh and be proud because you have a fox head now? Ugh, all
Yeah.
your different teeth. All your
Oh.
teeth are different.
Yeah.
Oh, your teeth. That's true.
I don't like that. Don't try to acclimate me to Fox Society. I was out on a walk
Oh my god!
today.
And now just everything, because your vision's different. Everything is different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're
Uh,
right.
He has like fox breath now.
No, what is that?
Um, but yeah, King Dox asked Button Bright, like, what do you think of your new head? And Button Bright's like, don't, no.
Still fucking,
Yeah.
still fucking doing that. I guess nothing's changed that much.
But yeah, we learned that King Dox doesn't have the power to change Button Bright back, which does remind me of like when the wizard was flying away in his balloon. He's like, I don't know how to turn this thing around.
People out here just do things, apparently.
Yeah. They certainly do.
Yeah, let's take a moment to think. But yeah, Dorothy and the Shaggy Man are not having Button Bright's new head, and they like kind of look at each other like, "Oh, we got to get out of this
Yeah,
place.
like,
This
what
is
the
not
fuck?
a good
Time
place."
to go.
Meanwhile, Toto doesn't recognize Button Bright and is like barking and yapping and like snapping at him.
Okay.
And Dorothy has to like stop him from doing that until he recognizes him. And then he does. But for a minute, he's like, "What the fuck is that?"
Button
but-
Bright's like feeling his new face, and his
Yeah.
ears are like twitching. And
Ugh.
I want one.
I want to. Oh my gosh.
Well, Button Bright is still crying, but all the foxes seem to like his head. And then he's reaching up, touching it, but then he's just bursting out and crying again. He's like, oh, like he stops crying, touches his fox head, starts crying again. So he's in a cycle right now.
Yeah.
And Dorothy feels really bad. But she also wants to laugh at him.
Yeah, she won't dare because it's too distressing right now. Maybe
Yeah,
later.
Maybe
Yeah.
later.
But King Dox's 3 little fox princess daughters come into the room.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Oh.
they're the same age as Button Bright, if they're older, I don't know. But they're like, oh, how lovely he is, how sweet he is, how beautiful he
Oh
is.
my
like,
god, they want
come be our little brother.
Oh
Yeah, no,
my
at first I thought they wanted some of that, but they just want him to
Oh,
be
little
their...
brother.
Yeah, little brother.
They want to treat him like a doll, I think.
Yeah.
He has got to get out of there quick.
Yeah. But, I mean, it does give Button Bright a little bit of an ego boost. And he's like, oh, okay, like I look good, I look
Yeah.
cute. And he like, tries to smile, but his mouth is weird and he can't figure
Yeah,
out
he
how to
doesn't
do
know how to
it.
use his mouth. But the Shaggy Man, the only adult in the room, finally speaks up. And he's like, "Hey, we ought to get going."
Yeah.
Like, and the king is like, "Oh, well, actually, we're planning days of merrymaking and feasting to honor you, so you really should stay here."
Dorothy's like, do it after we're gone, man.
Yeah, and she's like, "We
Yeah.
need to get going."
We have things to do.
Yeah, but then like at that point, finally, the king kind of looks like he scowls at them. He looks like kind of pissy about it. And Dorothy's like, okay, but we need to get to Ozma to make sure you get invited to her party. And then basically the Shaggy Man and her are both like, okay, hopefully that works, because the king looks unhappy.
Yeah, so it's kind of decided that since it's already the evening, the Shaggy Man, Dorothy, Button Bright, and Toto, they're going to stay the night with the foxes. They're going to go to supper. They're going to go to the theater. First thing in the morning, they're going to head out on their own. Are you laughing at the theater?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so at that point, they agree to all that stuff, and they are led to their chambers, to change and rest for a minute. Button Bright is afraid; he does not want to go alone, so he just goes with Dorothy. And these fox servants are combing their hair, tying ribbons. They're trying to get them to wear all those woven feather clothes, and they're like, "No, we don't want that." Like, no, thank you.
They're trying
Yeah.
to kidnap them.
Seriously.
Yeah, they are. They're
like,
trying.
"We
They're
wanna
literally
keep
turning
you."
them into foxes.
So is that what has happened to their whole city? Is
Oh my God,
to be
everyone.
men?
That's an A24 movie.
Oh my god!
This is like Get Out.
Yeah, it is, but with foxes
Wait.
and humans.
No, it's not.
It could be A24.
Yeah.
So, the maids are like brushing Button Bright's little face. They put pink little bows around his ears. He remembers he's a fox, starts crying again. And Dorothy's like petting his head and comforting him. And she's like Button Bright, Ozma is going to find a way to get your old head back. Don't worry. Just like be patient until we get to Ozma. And she's like, can you wait? Can you handle it? And he's like, don't know. But he stops crying.
Baby.
And she pets his head like a like a
Aw,
pet
she
fox.
I
loves
know,
him
so
now.
cute.
Yeah.
He's her little baby.
Yeah.
But so once they're all gussied up, they meet the Shaggy Man in the drawing room before dinner and guess like how he got all gussied up.
His hair was braided.
Just kidding. He looks exactly the same.
Oh, so
I'm joking.
He he refused everything. He was like, I don't want my hair brushed. I don't want new clothes. Like, I'm the Shaggy Man. If I'm not Shaggy, then what am I?
He says
Just
that
man.
he says that he did brush his hair and his mustache, but Dorothy like looks at it and she's like, maybe he brushed it the wrong direction. Like he looks fucked
he
up.
teased it.
But they go to dinner.
And dinner is good.
Yeah, dinner is delicious. They have chicken soup, roasted turkey, stewed duck, fried grouse, boiled quail, goose pie.
Broiled quail.
Oh, was it broiled?
Yeah,
That
not
sounds
boiled.
better than boiled. But yeah, it's like, you know how like their city is adorned with all these like bird ornaments? Basically, all of those birds are on their table right now and they're eating them.
I see. I
They
see.
only eat birds and fowl. But then they go to the theater and they see this play. It's about the foxes who get kidnapped by wolves. They get taken to a cave and then saved again. And Dorothy's like, oh, this reminds me of an Aesop fable. And the king hates that. He's like,
Don't mention Aesop.
Don't say his name.
my God.
He's like Tip when he hears a pun.
Yes, yeah. But he's just pissed because Aesop made foxes look really mean.
He's like, that's fake news.
Literally, yeah. He's like, we're not wicked and cruel. It's a witch hunt.
Now, the thing about Aesop's fables is that Aesop wrote 28, like almost 30 fables that featured foxes as the main character. And foxes are always like conning and manipulating the other animals. But like, it's pretty much because like Aesop is using the fox as a surrogate for like complex human emotions and interactions. So Aesop is actually like saying foxes are cool and super smart when he makes them assholes in his stories, but King Dox doesn't get that. Sorry, I'm an Aesop apologist.
No, I love that. I love
I'm an
that.
Is that what your
Aesopologist.
thesis is on?
So if you can sit here for the next 2 hours, I will convince you. Okay. So after the play, they go back to the palace and sleep on soft, comfortable beds stuffed with bird feathers, duh. But Dorothy's like, why do the foxes even wear clothes? And King Dox is like, because we're civilized?
Yeah, he's like, we're like, you wear clothes, we wear clothes. Like, because Dorothy's like, you already have a fur coat. And he's like, well, no, I mean, we were just born like this. So that's naked for us. And part of being civilized is wearing clothes and the prettiest possible so all your neighbors will envy you. And the Shaggy Man comments that is not how he dresses. He's like, I don't actually really do that. And King Doc says, well, maybe that's just a sign of how civilized you are. Basically.
Yeah, he read him for filth.
Yeah.
But Shaggy Man's filthy. So there we go.
Yeah.
So now they go to bed. And they have a good night's rest. The next morning, they have breakfast with the king and say bye-bye when they're all done.
Bye-bye.
And Dorothy's like, yeah, thanks. Like, you were so kind to us, except for Button Bright.
Yeah, she literally says that. She's like, aside from Button Bright, you were really good. And she does promise to see if Ozma will send an invitation if they see her in time. And the king reminds her it's on the 21st, and
Yeah.
that he always wanted to see the Emerald City,
Aw.
Yeah. which is
Yeah.
kind of sad.
It is kind of sad, but
Yeah.
I'm mad at him.
I'm mad at him,
Yeah.
but also I want him to see the Emerald City.
I want the best for him.
Everyone deserves to see the Emerald City.
yeah, at least once.
But yeah, so the King Dox gives them all like packed lunches to take with them. Shaggy Man puts them in his giant pockets, and he sends them out the village on the opposite side that they entered. And when they get to the exit of the town, there's like more soldiers guarding that side of Foxville, just like when they came in. And they're like, what are you, like, scared of some enemies or something? And they're like, oh, no, like, the guys in the next town over are idiots, but we got to just show them that we're not afraid.
Yeah, and they're like, oh yeah, like they're just like beasts. And the Shaggy Man is like, okay, well, like what kind of beasts? Like scary beast? And they're kind of like, you'll figure it out. Like, but you don't have anything to worry about. Like, you're not in danger. Like, you're clever enough to be like protected by or
Well,
from them.
Frankly, he says like, "Oh, don't worry. Like Button Bright here is clever enough to
No.
protect you."
Well, you ruined him.
The Shaggy
Yeah.
Man and Dorothy look at each other like, "So the 4-year-old's gonna protect us? Maybe we shouldn't go this way." Basically, but
It's
on
the
they
only
go.
way to go. Yeah, and they know that they can't get information out of the guard. They're like, okay, whatever. We're gonna fucking get out of here. And that is the end of chapter 4, King Docks. And Blake, what would you call that?
I would call that Dorothy leaves Foxville ASAP. Fables.
Woo!
So that's the thesis.
Chapter 5, The Rainbow's Daughter.
You heard that right.
You heard that right.
Slay.
So Toto is thrilled to be free of the city of foxes.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
like, "Oh my god," because Dorothy was basically holding him that entire time because he wanted to chase foxes. So now he's free. He can run around, chase butterflies, jump around, bark, not a care in the world. Dorothy and the Shaggy Man begin to realize like they've been walking for a while. The country's beautiful, full of like wildflowers and fields and trees and birds and rabbits.
No houses.
No houses.
No people.
No people.
Yeah.
Wild.
So it's beautiful, but yeah, wild. And they're walking pretty like at a good speed for a couple of hours. And then
Do
they
they
kind
have
of
like a path that they're following?
they're on the road.
They're on the
still.
road.
Oh,
The
there's
road
a
to
road.
us.
Okay.
So here's the question. Granted, we never knew if this was a paved, US 25 or whatever kind of road, or if it was a dirt
'Cause
road.
I'm
I
used
ass-
to a yellow brick road.
So I assumed
No, this is
I assumed dirt road because remember, so like
Yeah.
we started like at Dorothy's front door,
Mhm.
and then they just followed the road, and now we're in Foxville.
yeah.
Okay.
So I'm picturing
It-
dirt road, but like in Foxville, maybe they had like cobblestone, and then outside of Foxville, it's dirt again or something like that. So they're walking along a dirt road,
Yeah.
and they turn a corner, and they see a curious sight.
They see a little.
Kittens?
No.
Whoa!
I just wanted to
no.
make
How
a
curious.
guess.
No. What they see is a little girl, and she's wearing a gown of this like really fine fabric that looks like spider webs, but it's like colored with like violet and rose and olive and azure. So it's like a rainbow colored fabric. And it's
And-
like floating around her.
She's dancing. Would you say manically?
I would say maniacally.
Maniacally.
She's a
No,
manic
it's
pixie
frantic.
dream girl.
It's pretty much. She is moving, but she's beautiful. She's radiant. And she's twirling, and she has like golden hair that kind of just like floats around her head. It doesn't really float, but like it's just light, so it's like it's just whipping around. And she is just fucking going off.
Yeah, she's like the same
She has her
height-
AirPods in.
Yeah, she's at a silent disco or whatever.
Silent disco.
But she's about the same height as Dorothy. She looks like she's about the same age, just more slender. So think like a 12-year-old ballerina, basically.
Yeah,
And-
and the gang is like amazed.
Yeah,
basically.
they're just
like,
watching
what the
her,
fuck?
just like with the Fox Archway.
Yeah.
But she notices them. She stops dancing. She's like on point, like in a pirouette, and like she just freezes there, and she's crying.
Yeah, her violet eyes are just filled with tears, like brimming. Her face is wet.
Oh, by the way, her tears are stars.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous.
And Dorothy is like, "Oh shit, like I can't believe that girl was just dancing like so incredibly and also like sobbing at the same time."
wow, she's impressed. She felt emotion
yeah.
from that performance.
did,
Yeah,
and-
she was like, "Brava!"
Dorothy approaches and she's like, "Oh, like are you unhappy? Like are you okay?" And like the girl's like, "Very unhappy. I'm lost." And Dorothy's like, "Yeah, well, so are we, but we're not crying about it."
Whoa,
I'm not
Dorothy.
very happy with Dorothy in this book.
You're never
But-
happy with any of the characters.
The little girl is like, "Well, why don't you cry about it?" Dorothy's like, "Listen, sister, I've been lost a million times. Like, this is nothing."
She's seasoned.
Yes.
But the little girl's like, "Yeah, well, me, never been lost before, kind of freaked out. Let's have some compassion."
Yeah. And Dorothy's like, "Well, you don't seem very worried. I mean, you're dancing about." And she's like, "Yeah, it's fucking cold. I'm trying to keep myself warm. I'm like I'm not dancing from joy, like I promise.
Yeah, she's like, I feel like I'm gonna freeze to death.
Yeah.
It is a balmy day in
August.
August.
Yeah. Dorothy's like, okay, like she doesn't look warm, and like I'm not warm. It's like humid here, but whatever. So she's just like, okay, sure. Who are you?
Yeah, the girl's like, I'm Polychrome. Dorothy's like, sorry, Polly who?
Polychrome.
Whoa.
She is the rainbow's daughter. Yeah.
Her dad is the rainbow.
the rainbow?
The very
The
same.
rainbow. Yeah.
Is there okay. I'm gonna have some questions lined up real
I
quick.
think. Okay, let's go.
So there's only one rainbow.
Yes, and he's very busy.
Is he like the Avatar where they grow old and then a new one comes, or is it always the same rainbow?
Don't know.
Okay. That's all my questions.
Okay.
Okay.
You might get more.
Hey, make it more as we go along.
But Dorothy's like, okay, wait, the rainbow has children? Didn't know that, but like you're very lovely and sweet. So I should have realized that you were the rainbow's daughter of all people.
That's not
Yeah.
enough for me to ever think that anyone is a daughter, a child of the rainbow.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
pretty and you dance. You must be the rainbow's child.
Oh, you know what? That makes a lot of sense to me
Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
twirled around in the street a minute ago. Now, Polychrome smiles through her tears. She walks up to
Does
Dorothy.
she need to be somewhere over the rainbow?
Oh,
Maybe. I don't know.
Okay, but here's the thing. L. Frank Baum says that Polychrome wraps her slender fingers around Dorothy's chubby hand. That's rude.
Yeah, what?
And
Dorothy's just a little girl.
Dorothy's not chubby, she's brawny.
Yeah. And how slender is she? She can't be that slender.
Apparently
Well.
Dorothy's a freaking fat ass, apparently.
She's stocky.
She's a farm girl.
We
She's
love a
farm girl.
stocky girl.
She's buff. But Polychrome is like, you'll be my friend, won't you? To which I say, ew, Polychrome, don't beg.
Yeah. But Dorothy says, of course. And then Dorothy introduces everyone else and herself. Dorothy of Kansas, Shaggy Man, owner of the love magnet, she says specifically.
Like, don't tell people.
Yeah.
Don't do the voice.
But Button, and then she introduces Button Brighton. She's like, but that's not what he usually looks like. So, yeah. And then no mention of Toto.
Things are weird right now.
Yeah.
I hope you get to see the real Button Bright. I don't know if you will. But yeah, Polychrome's feeling at ease with her new friends, and she's like, "Oh, like, what about this thing?" Pointing at Toto. She's like, "Did a Fox King enchant him too?" And she's like, "No, he's a meat dog. Like, that's just
Yeah.
what he looks like."
Yeah, and then Dorothy's also like, "Can I call you Polly for short?" And Polychrome is like, "Yeah, you can call me
She's
Polly.
like, "Just don't call me
whatever
late
you
for
want."
dinner."
Yeah, exactly. So they're chilling.
The Shaggy Man asks Polychrome how the Rainbow's daughter came to be lost on such a lonely road. And Polychrome explains that her father, the Rainbow, stretched all the way to the surface of the road just this morning, and that she was dancing on the surface, and then she didn't notice that she danced so far away from the bend in the circle, and she began to slide down the end of the rainbow,
Yeah.
and the rainbow lifted off the ground and left without her.
Yep. And she tried to climb it and grab it, but it just melted away.
And she was left alone on the cold, hard earth.
Yeah, and she's used to living like way closer to the sun, so she's like used to warmer temperatures. So that's why she like immediately was like, "I'm going to freeze to death."
Oh my
But her
gosh.
dancing saved her from that.
It's like
Uh,
Adam Sandler and Little Nicky.
Yeah,
Oh my
yes,
God.
like with a big puffy coat and gloves.
Yeah.
I'm from the deep south.
Yeah, it's deep.
So Dorothy is like, "Is your father gonna know you're missing? Like, is he gonna come back and look for you?" And Polly's like, like maybe, but it's raining in so many parts of the world right now. He's a very busy man, because he has to be in all those
He has to
places at
catch
once.
the rain.
One rainbow for all of the rain.
Rain chaser.
Oh yeah, that's a career. But at that point, Dorothy is like, "Okay, like here's what we're gonna do. Like everybody, just come with me. I know someone who lives in the Emerald City who will help us."
Yeah.
And then Polychrome joins her.
Yeah, she's like, you know what? Traveling will honestly keep my body moving and keep me warm. And my dad can find me here as well as he can find me anywhere else.
Yeah,
So
like he's
may
not
as
gonna
well
remember
go with you
this.
to the Emerald City.
Yeah.
So it's very first book vibes here. But yeah, off they go. And Polychrome spends the first little bit of the walk like clinging to Dorothy and holding her hand, staying close. But eventually she like can't help it. She just has like so much in her that she just dances. She's dancing the whole way. She dances like up ahead so far that they can't see her, and then dances back, and then it's like hello,
Yeah.
and dances
She's like
away again.
twirling and leaping around, and she's also staying warm as part
I'm
of it.
Polychrome when I see my
Oh.
friends.
See, that's the thing.
Woo!
Everybody loves having her on board. They're like, she's
Aw.
vivacious. We like
Oh,
her.
she is. But yeah, she's running, dancing. The crew's pretty happy to have her on board. And that's how we end Chapter 5, The Rainbow's Daughter. And Blake, what would you call that?
A colorful personality.
Chapter 6, The City of Beasts. That's right.
So they're walking along. And at noon, they decide to open the lunch baskets that King Dox gave them.
Yeah, which I'd already forgotten about by this
Same.
point.
Yeah, me too. I don't even know what
Yeah.
you're talking about.
But there's turkey, there's cranberry sauce, there's bread and butter. So it's like a decent, like little Thanksgiving
It's
leftover
Thanksgiving
meal.
leftovers,
Yeah. And the Shaggy Man cuts up the turkey, passes it around, and Polychrome is like, do you have dewdrops or mist cakes or cloud buns? Which dewdrop is the name of our drink. And Dorothy's like, of course we don't have those. We eat solid food on the surface of the earth. What are you talking about?
Yeah, how about some iced tea, bitch?
Yeah, she's like, here's some cold tea. Try
I want
some
an
of
Arnold
that.
Palmer.
But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's like, lemonade?
But you know, Polly's watching Button Bright gobbling up this turkey leg, and she's like, "Is it good?" And he's like, "Yes." And she's like, "Okay."
What is he eating it? Like, you know that scene in Mr. Fantastic Fox?
Oh, Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yeah, where he is eating his meat and he's like,
It is that.
It's very
Yeah, it's exactly that. Like his little fox lips are curled away from his teeth.
yeah.
But Polly's like, "Should I eat it?" And Button Bright's like, "Not this one. This one's mine."
And she's like, no, I mean another one.
Yeah, she's like, "I just mean the turkey in general."
Stupid idiot.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Don't know."
Yeah.
So Polly decides she's so hungry, like she's just gonna try the solid food.
Yeah, which good for her, because when she was like, I've only ever eaten dewdrop and mist cake, I can imagine not wanting to try the dead bird that got cooked.
It's
Yeah,
better
that's
than
very
like
different.
Eureka and Jim just being like, "What I want isn't here, so I'm gonna
Oh,
starve
yeah,
and complain about
seriously.
it."
True.
So she tries a thin piece of turkey breast
her.
and some bread and butter, and she likes it. She's like, oh, that's actually really good, but like, it does not satisfy my hunger at all.
It actually satisfies it like too quickly, I think, where like she just eats like literally these tiny little portions, and she's like, "Ah, I'm full."
Oh my God, she's an elf.
She is. She's a little sprite
Dorothy
baby.
is like, "That's how much a bug eats." Or
Yeah,
something like
how much
that.
a fly would eat.
You know, how much a fly would eat. Yeah.
And she's like, but you know, like I know people from the land of Oz that don't even eat at all. And the Shaggy Man is like, what the fuck are you talking about?
But yeah, Dorothy tells him about the Scarecrow and the Tin Woodman, and Button Bright's like, "Are they alive?"
Yeah, which is a great question.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, they don't eat? Oh, are they
Yeah,
alive?
Dorothy's like, "Oh, they're alive. They're clever. They're nice. I'll introduce you when we get to Oz." The Shaggy Man asks Dorothy, like, "Do you really think we're gonna make it to Oz? We have no idea where we are." And she's like, "I don't know what to expect, but when I get lost, I always end up in Oz."
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
and honestly, okay.
Yeah,
Like,
she's like-
She's in Oz more than I think, like in the real
yeah,
world.
we've seen her in Oz more than the real world,
It's
at
like,
yeah.
least.
I
Yeah.
assume that like every book only takes place like maybe 6 weeks tops apart. Like it's just
God.
it seems like this
Poor-
whole, we're on book 5 and it
God,
seems like
poor
it's been a
Henry, yeah.
total of like 4 months.
God, I
But-
guess, but Ozma hasn't had a birthday yet for the entirety of the series.
True.
Oh yeah, and was Tips birthday the same as Ozma's?
So it makes
Great
you wonder
question.
if it's
Because
like
then if that is the case, then not even a year has gone by from book 2 to where we are now.
which
That's a
that's
good
too
point.
much. Okay, although we don't necessarily know how much time passed between Tip transforming to Ozma and then Dorothy
Oh,
getting back to Oz.
That's true. Because
So
the birthday maybe
that
already
could have
passed.
passed, yeah, but it hasn't been more than 2 years for sure.
Insane.
It is
Also,
insane.
Do you think so? Dorothy has the ability to go back whenever she wants. Is she doing that, and we're just not reading every time she does it? Like,
Does she
'cause-
go back like,
like,
between books?
yeah,
you
as
mean?
far as I know, she's only met Ozma like twice.
yeah,
you know?
but she
But
could have
she's
been back there.
very, very, very close with Ozma.
They're like
So she
the
could have gone
best of
back every
friends.
weekend. She could
Mhm.
be there every Saturday from 2 a.m. Cross your fingers to 10 a.m.
Yeah, I wonder how often Dorothy goes to Oz.
Mhm.
I'm gonna
Well-
ask. I'm gonna write a letter to the author. But yeah, she's like, I always make it to Oz, so we'll see. All we can do is wait and see. So Button Bright, he's still hung up on the Scarecrow Tin Man talk, and he's like, is the Scarecrow gonna scare me? And Dorothy's like, no, Button Bright, you're not a crow. And also, his painted face is so friendly. Okay. So after lunch, they take off again with Polychrome dancing ahead and coming back and dancing ahead and coming back.
Oh, and Toto's kind of running with her too.
Yeah.
But she runs ahead and comes back. But this time she's walking and she's more serious. And she says, there's a city ahead.
And her eyes are just white.
Yeah, she's horrified.
All of a sudden, she's a ghost.
Yes.
City ahead.
And Dorothy's like, okay, well, we were actually warned about a city that holds a bunch of stupid beasts, but the beasts can't harm us. And
Well, not
Polychrome
if you're
is
calling
like,
them stupid.
well, right? Well, I know Polychrome is like, okay, that's fine. We'll see what happens. But it's a pretty big city, and the road runs right through it. So very much Foxville.
Shaggy Man's like, don't worry, Polly. I've got the love magnet. I won't let anything hurt you guys. And after a while, they come to a sign. And the sign says, half a mile to Dunkerton. Should I spell it?
It's spelled quite poorly with missing letters and in a way that you would think was written by a 5-year-old. Well, by like a
Yes.
30-year-old pretending to be a 5-year-old.
So the sign says half a mile to Dunkerton. And the Shaggy Man reads the sign and he's like, oh, they're donkeys. Like, okay, stretch.
Yeah.
But he's like, yeah, they're donkeys. We've got nothing to worry about. And Dorothy's like, yeah, I mean, donkeys kick.
The Shaggy Man goes to a tree.
He's insane.
He cuts off like young branches, like they're switches, and he hands them around. And he's like, okay, like, don't be afraid to order them around. Like, just whip them if they're being bad, and they'll be used to it.
he
Yeah, because they're
says.
just donkeys. So just whip them with the switch, and they'll be fine.
Imagine some guy walks into your town with a switch. And he's like, I'm not scared of you. And just starts beating everybody with switches.
Yeah.
And I don't know where he got this experience. Is he like a donkey wrangler? Like, is he a farmhand?
Yeah,
okay,
how
so
did he
how-
just immediately be like, we gotta get these?
Yeah, go down to the
thing.
Willow.
How old is the Shaggy Man? Because the first time I read this book, I was like, oh, he would be played by George Clooney. But now I'm like, oh, he would be
Oh.
played by someone who's 97 years old.
He strikes me as being like in his 40s, which would mean he was born in like 1860.
Okay. So
I'm
like if
thinking,
he took a shower and shaved his face, he'd be like kind of cute.
Well, I don't know if he'd be cute, but he would be 40.
I would like
I'd
to
do
see
it.
him played by Willem Dafoe.
Ooh,
Oh, that's
okay.
good.
That's pretty old.
That is
but I
older,
love
but Willem
Dafoe.
Dafoe from like 2004.
I feel like he'd make a good Shaggy Man.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway, so the road finally brings them to the gates of the city. And the city is surrounded by a high wall and it's all white. And it's like the gate isn't so much of a gate as it is just like a small opening in the wall.
Yeah.
for
It's just
them
like
to
an
pass
open door. It's an archway.
through. Yeah.
But it specifically says there's no gate, no bars. It's just a hole in the wall. And they don't see anyone. But they hear something.
Yeah.
It is an enormous sound. It's so loud they have to plug their ears. It's like cannon fire and thunder. They don't know what it is, and it's like painful. It's awful. I wonder if Button Bright's ears are more sensitive now. I wonder if he hates it even more
good
than them.
point. Yeah, he's like, I don't everybody, yip, 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 yip.
Yeah, but they hate it. But they're also unharmed, so they're like,
Yeah.
let's just go inside and see what the fuck that is,
Yeah.
which isn't necessarily what I would do.
No, I
No,
but-
I mean, I
don't know what
it's
I
like,
do.
What, you can't walk around?
I mean, you run away. Well, that's the thing. Couldn't
But
they
maybe
just walk
if you
around
go
it?
off the road, there might be danger.
That's true. Yeah,
So
but they go inside.
Yeah, they go inside and they see the source of the cacophony, which is a row of donkeys just kicking sheets of iron and tin with their back legs,
Yeah.
just like.
What I'm imagining is
music
that,
group?
like, yeah, yeah.
They're raising an alarm,
oh,
But it's huge. Like it's
it's
these huge
tons
pieces
of
of
them.
tin, and they're just like kicking them as hard as they can. So it's super loud. And the Shaggy Man just runs straight up to a donkey and whips him with his switch.
and he's like, "Quiet down."
Yeah, yeah,
don't do that.
yeah. He's like, "You
It works.
stop it."
Oh.
And yeah, he did. And he did the whole row of them. He whipped them each and said, "You stop it." And then he did all of them, and then they all stopped.
Very.
Do they not
easy.
talk?
Well, the Shaggy Man, after he stops all of them, is like, "Why the hell are you causing this racket?" And they're like, "Oh, we thought you were foxes. We do that to keep the foxes away. They hate that sound. Run away." And the Shaggy Man's like, "There's no foxes here."
And they're like, "What about that one? That one has a little head." Exactly. Yeah. And he's like, "Okay, like."
Got me there.
Yeah, he's like, fair enough.
He's
Like,
like-
but yeah, he explains Button Bright's condition, and the donkeys are like, "Oh, okay. Well, sorry, but also like, you know, why would we know that?" Basically. But they're just staring at all the newcomers, and it's like strange. It's like all these donkeys just staring at them.
So Elfrink Baum tells us what the donkeys look like. They wear these like large collars.
like Shakespeare,
yeah, like
the rough.
the gentlemen wear pointed caps between their ears, and ladies wear sunbonnets that their ears like stick out through. Other than that, they're completely naked except for like bracelets and anklets that they wear on their hooves.
Sexy.
And the worst part is they walk on their hind legs and use their front ones as arms. So picture a donkey standing
Just a
on its
normal
legs.
donkey wearing a ruff and a hat with an
Yeah.
anklet.
Hate that. And like they can't put their arms down at their sides. They have to keep them like out in front of them. Like
It probably helps them balance anyway.
yeah, they just walk like this.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's how I walk.
Yeah, you're always doing something with your claw.
I got the
Yeah.
little T-Rex hands out.
you gotta be ready.
The Shaggy Man keeps lecturing the donkeys. He's like, "Well, that's not a very nice way to welcome your visitors." And they're like, "Okay, like we didn't mean to be impolite, but we weren't expecting
Yeah,
you.
you weren't
didn't send
invited."
visitor
yeah,
cards."
we don't know you.
Yeah.
The Shaggy Man is like, okay, well that's fair, but like we're actually super important and distinguished, and we must accord a proper consideration.
The donkeys are like, "Whoa, big words.
Yeah.
Awesome."
Yeah, they're into that. They bow to him, and they're like, "Okay, guys, like you get to go meet our king, King Kikabray."
Yeah. He'll
What a
greet
interesting
them
name.
as becomes their exalted stations. Dorothy just, I don't know if she's like bored of being in the background for this moment or something, but she's just like, "Yeah, that's right. Take us to someone who knows something." And it's like, okay, you did not have to talk. Yeah, shut up. But yeah, one of the donkeys is like, "Oh, we all know something or we wouldn't be donkeys." The word donkey does mean clever, you know. It's in the encyclopedia Donkaniara.
Donkanyara.
Oh, the Duncanierada.
Yeah. Yeah, but that is the just cleverest ending to a chapter you could hope,
Oh,
and that
wow.
is the end of chapter 6, The City of Beasts. And Blake, what would you call that?
I don't know, but this chapter's a real kick.
I like that.
Chapter 7, The Shaggy Man's Transformation.
You heard that right.
Yeah.
Do that on every chapter.
So they are walking through the city at this point. They're going to meet the king, and all the buildings are low, and they are whitewashed brick.
The homes are like placed really haphazardly. So like the streets aren't just like straight and linear. Like the homes are just placed wherever. And the donkey explains that stupid people need to have their roads straight and their houses marked with numbers so they can find their way around. But donkeys are so clever, they just put buildings wherever the fuck they want to.
Yeah, and they just remember.
and they just remember.
Okay.
I will say, so then he's like, oh, and like also like it's prettier than just having straight streets. And I think like I was like, well, that's kind of true though. Like if you think of like a European village with like little winding streets versus like the grid of like downtown Portland, it's
I'm
like
sure it looks great.
it's a little more interesting. But Dorothy is like, oh, like I don't think that's true, but she doesn't say anything.
Every
peop-
building is a white square. That would be super confusing.
Yeah,
So,
that's disorienting.
all right, if donkeys can do it, fine. They're smarter than me. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd have to see what it looks like because symmetry
Yeah.
sometimes looks nice, but also
Yeah, some organic shapes in there too. That's
I
good.
don't mind that.
So Dorothy's like contemplating everything we're talking about, but then she sees a sign that says "Madame de Fake Hoofist." Now, what's a hoofist? She asks, and the donkey who's leading them, it's just Gray Donkey. It's like he basically just explained it's a palm reader. It's someone who looks at your hoofs and tells you your fortune and stuff.
Also, L. Frank Baum, super into that shit.
Yeah.
So,
But then he also kind of like derides it because the Shaggy Man is like, oh man, like you guys have it all down here. And it's like, yep, they certainly have it all. It's the best place on earth, most civilized place on earth.
yeah,
It's
because
like-
they have palmistry.
Yeah, because they can do palm reading and they have like unorganized streets and whitewash.
And
So,
whitewash.
yeah, so they have it going on. It's popping.
They keep on walking. They pass this house where these two young donkeys are painting the walls by dunking their tails in the whitewash and rubbing their tails on the walls. And Button Bright's like, that looks like fun. And the donkey's like, no, it's work.
No, that's work.
Work can be fun.
They can't be.
But yeah, they make the young donkeys whitewash the walls to keep them out of trouble. And Dorothy's like, don't they go to school? And the donkey's like,
They're born wise.
yeah, we're born
All donkeys
smart.
are born
We just
wise.
learn from experience. School's for idiots.
You don't need books.
This
Yeah.
is giving hippy dippy.
Yeah, seriously.
Some
Yeah.
shit.
He says
This is-
that books are only fit for those who know nothing and are obliged to learn from other people. And I'm like, is he talking about this podcast? Is this play about us?
This play is about us. But so then after a time though, they end up coming to a doorway, and there are two hooves painted above it, a tail, and then a crown, and it's very, very crudely painted, and a scepter. There's also a scepter painted. And the donkey who's been guiding them is like, okay, like I'm gonna see if King Kikabray is home, and then he does so by
Okay.
saying, "Hee-haw, hee-haw, hee-haw," and he kicks the door like 10 times. He just like
Oh my
turns and just
God.
smacks it. Yeah, it's yeah.
That's how you see if the king is home.
Not doing that on my front door, or I will hurt someone.
Well,
Fucking chop off your little feet.
that's how King Kikabray likes his door to be knocked down, though, because after a minute, he appears, and he's like this white donkey with spectacles. His head pokes out, and he's like, have the foxes gone?
Ew, that's giving me like, it's giving me when Donkey turned into a horse.
Oh, it
Oh,
is
that's
that. It is that.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like, have the foxes gone? And the gray donkey's like, oh, they were never here, most stupendous majesty. And so the gray donkey shows the king their new arrivals, and he's like, hey, these are travelers of great distinction. King Kikabray's like, oh, okay, well, come on inside.
So they enter a large room, but there's absolutely no furniture, and there's just a bunch of woven mats on the floor. It's clean, like it's not dirty, it's like tidy, but it is completely bare except for the woven mats.
I mean, what furniture is a donkey gonna
They
have?
just need the
exactly.
hay bedding, basically.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So King
We'll
Kikabray
get to
like
it.
sits on his haunches like in the middle of the room, and this little brown donkey runs in like,
He's just so little.
Aw.
He's like the size of
Is
Button
he kind of
Bright.
fuzzy?
yeah. I
Oh
think
yeah, he's
so.
like he has like downy fur. It's like he's like those little Shetland ponies, you know?
Yeah.
So he puts a crown on the king's head. He hands the king his scepter, and then he's like,
Yeah, and he
and gets out of
runs
there.
out.
He gets the fuck out.
Yeah. And so the king is like, hey, like, who are you? Like, what can I do for you? And he's like eyeing Button Bright suspiciously because of his fox head. He's like, I know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, and the Shaggy Man, like, he's caught on to the donkeys pretty quick. So he's like, okay, I'm going to use big words and I'm going to suck some dick, basically. So he's like, most noble and supreme ruler of Dunkerton, we are strangers traveling through your dominions. And, like, just this whole monologue with all these big, like, superfluous words. King Kikabray loves that shit.
Yeah.
The king is very pleased with the speech, and the love magnet also is probably helping, like, the Shaggy Man make the king love him. That's just part of it. We're told. And the donkey's like, those words are so wise that you might as well be a donkey. A mere man should not be able to use that kind of speech.
So he's going to bestow the greatest gift he can onto the Shaggy Man. Any idea where this is going?
No.
Well, he tells us a donkey's head.
No. Oh my
Dorothy's like, no.
gosh.
Yeah, the Shaggy
Why do
Man.
they keep on wanting to do that?
I know. The Shaggy Man screams.
He tries to
He
run.
backs up. He's like, no, don't fucking do that. But Kikabray just waves his scepter, and in a flash, the Shaggy Man has a brown, drab donkey
And
head.
it's only the head.
It's
just the head.
Ew.
Yeah.
That's
She's
even
like-
worse
she's like,
for a donkey.
Is it something else?
No.
But yeah, the Shaggy Man.
Don't just move past that, you psycho.
But okay, Dorothy and Polly both break out into laughter when they see the Shaggy Man. I mean, it's a little less traumatizing than Button Bright getting a fox head. I guess they know it's
Well, they've already
okay.
seen it happen
Yeah.
once.
And
I just
donkey-
want to know how it
and donkey
happens.
heads are so stupid.
Is it just like a little twirl and it's transformed?
Like, yeah, does it like
or
pop
is
in,
it
or does
like,
it like
his fucking nose starts
Yeah.
to grow?
yeah,
and
his
the
jaw
skin,
breaks and
I,
unhinges.
yeah,
it hurts. Yeah,
Yeah,
his
like
teeth
the-
like get flat and
Yeah.
Ew, the hair sprouts out of his pores. Yeah.
He's like, go away.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
so
fucked up. Honestly.
yeah, they think it's funny. Button Bright smiles at him, and the Shaggy Man is like, "Oh dear me, what a misfortune! Like you stupid fucking
Yeah.
king, give me my head back.
What a
like
world. What a world.
if you love me, give me my head back." And the king is like, "Oh, you don't like it?"
Shaggy Man says, "Hee-haw, I hate it."
Yeah. He has a hee-haw and he says, "Take it back." But bad news. Kikabray's
No.
magic only works one way.
Yeah.
He can do things, but he can't undo
At
them.
least we're given a solution this time because the foxes did not give us
Yeah.
the antidote. The antidote in this case is for the Shaggy Man to bathe in the waters of the Truth Pond.
Oh.
Where's the Truth Pond?
Oz. Somewhere in Oz. He doesn't
Okay.
know.
I was like, is it
Yeah.
on the way?
Yeah, exactly.
It's at the destination, thank goodness.
And Dorothy's like, okay, like, don't worry, because like Ozma will know where the truth pond is. Like, we'll be able to find it, so that's not even a big deal.
Yeah.
Also, just like this, a little off topic, but not off topic, because why can't she just do the signal?
No, we know.
I know,
Yeah.
it's like
Why
L.
did
Frank-
they give us
L. Frank
that?
Baum never should have made that a thing because now none of the books make
It's
sense.
too powerful.
It's like, girl, why are you?
Yeah, like
No, you know who wouldn't be a
it should
fox
only
right now?
work during the
Right.
solstice.
You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
who wouldn't be a donkey right now? The Shaggy Man.
Yeah.
Bitch,
You know who
if-
wouldn't? A Polychrome could be home
Yeah.
right now.
The thing is, if Dorothy was playing by those rules, they never would have met Button Bright. They never would have met
No.
Polychrome. They would have sat their asses down in the middle of all those 17 roads
Yeah.
and waited for 4 o'clock.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
would have done her sign, and then it would have been fine.
Because that's how you get home, baby.
That's
Yeah.
how you get home. You have a freaking
You know.
you have a wild card.
They made it like God mode, you know? It's like when you're playing Grand Theft Auto and you're like,
Yes.
okay, I'll use a couple of the cheats. And then it's like, now I have like a machine gun with unlimited ammo and I can't be hurt
like
and the
not
cops
fun
can't
anymore.
come. Exactly.
gun-
Like it ruins it. And I think that for that reason, I feel like that's why L. Frank Baum is like, I'm not even going to mention it. I don't think
Yeah.
he'll mention it in this book because it's not fair. It changes the
Yeah.
rules so much that it's like, it's not even fun anymore.
And to be fair, he wanted to stop writing these books like 3 books ago.
True.
He's so
He set
done.
things up that he did not understand the implications
Yeah,
of.
he didn't know he was going to have to keep going.
Yeah.
But King Kikabre's like, oh wait, you're going to Oz? And Dorothy's like, yeah, like we were told we're closer to Oz than we are to Kansas, so finding Ozma is my fastest way home.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you know Ozma?
Yeah.
He's going crazy.
He's gagged. He's like, can you get me an invitation to her birthday party? It's supposed to be the grandest celebration in all of Fairyland.
The Shaggy Man, he yaws again, and he's like, you deserve punishment for transforming me, not
Yeah.
a fucking invitation.
Yeah, you're not going to a birthday party, bitch.
Polychrome was like, please don't say hee haw anymore. Like, it's actually super creepy.
Yeah.
And the Shaggy Man's like, I can't help
Bitch.
it. I'm trying not
The
to.
head
Look
once
at
what
me.
the head wants.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah,
his
and
new throat is aching for a hee haw.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's like, I can't help it. Like Button Bright, don't you want to like yelp like a fox? And Button Bright's like, dunno.
Yeah.
Um,
But he hasn't, so.
Nothing's changed there, I guess.
and Dorothy, I don't know why, but
I
she's
don't either.
asking for Polly's advice. She's like, Polly, what do you think? Should I give the Donkey King an invitation to Ozma's birthday party?
No.
Polychrome is dancing in the corner right now.
She doesn't go. She's like,
She's like, who's Ozma?
Yeah.
yeah,
She-
exactly.
No, seriously, yeah, because she's like, I don't know. She was like, just like do what you think is best. But she
The best
adds,
advice.
the donkey might amuse the people of Oz. So Dorothy's like, okay, sure, like, but you have to feed us and give us beds tonight. And the king agrees.
Yeah, he's like, good. Hee-haw, excellent.
Good thing
Um,
Dorothy knows people in high places.
Seriously, yeah.
So Kikabray asks them what they want for dinner. Do they want bran mash or do they want ripe oats in the shell?
Yeah, and they're like, neither. And he's like, oh, like some hay or some fresh grass. And they're like,
Dorothy's like, what the heck?
is that all you have?
Like, cook something for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, he's literally like,
Why
what
not
else
dine
is
me?
there? Like,
Yeah,
there's
he's like-
nothing else.
He's like, what do you
Those
desire?
are the 4 things you eat.
Polychrome's like, ooh, we all want dewdrops and mist cakes.
Yeah.
She's like,
yeah.
if you're giving me a choice.
Yeah, she's like, if you're
this
taking
is what I'm
orders,
asking.
the Shaggy Man, though. So
Too
now,
many people eat different things right now.
so
Okay.
now everyone is ordering something different because they are
Oh.
taking this as a request. Because the Shaggy Man is like, oh, I want a ham sandwich and some apples. And Button Bright wants pie. Dorothy wants a beef steak and a chocolate layer cake.
Bitch.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm like,
You're gonna
Did she
walk
have that at
into my
home?
house.
She's gonna pass the fuck out. That's what she's planning on doing.
Yeah, she
Yeah.
is. She's trying to
She's
get
gonna be
loaded.
blocked up for the next week. That's what she's gonna
Oh,
do.
yeah.
But King Kikabray's like, oh, you all want something different. Wow, how queer every living creature is except for donkeys.
Yeah.
But
But he's like, I can do it.
But yeah, he uses his staff to summon the food that everyone desires. And a little tea table appears before them, and it's loaded with all the food that everyone wants.
No chairs,
It looks
though.
great. And after everyone eats, the king calls that tiny brown donkey back, and he's like, "Yeah, boss." And he's ordered to take them all to their beds for the night.
Yeah. So they are taken to a house, just like another house. And they open the door, and there's nothing in there. It's just woven mats on the floor. But they're like, hey, that's all they have. So like, they're not like put out by it. They're like, that's fine. And they sleep really well. It's like it's comfortable. And in the morning, they are awakened by the terrible sound of every donkey in the city going hee-haw at once to the morning.
Yeah, even the Shaggy Man wakes up, and it's like,
Yeah.
No.
and like Button Bright is like, "Stop it! Stop that! Stop it!"
Yeah, Button
Like,
Bright
not
hates it.
gonna stop.
The girls are just like scowling at him, and he's like, "Hey, like I'm sorry, but like I
Why
can't
are they
help
so
it. I'll
mad at
try not to."
him?
Here's the thing.
Yeah,
The book says that they all forgive him because he still had the love magnet in his pocket, but it's like, can you just like forgive him
Yeah,
anyway? It's his
because he
first
got
day with a donkey.
Forced
I had
to
the-
being a donkey.
I had that in my notes too. I was like, interestingly, we note that it's only because of the love magnet. because
is that
can't
not
they
your
just
friend?
forgive him?
So
Have
no
some
one's
fucking
generous here.
compassion.
Yeah, but thankfully, so they're not going to see the king again before they go. But he hadn't forgotten them, and so there appears a table with food, everything they had the night before. So basically, he's like, "Oh, you eat this? Okay, all of you get that
Yeah,
again."
Button-
chocolate layered cake for breakfast.
Exactly. Well,
Yeah.
Button Bright's like, I don't want pie for breakfast.
Yeah.
Can
So
I get something else?
yeah, Dorothy shared the steak with him, and then Button Bright and Polychrome
Or
just
Shaggy
ate.
Man and Polychrome, yeah.
What did I say? Oh, Button Bright. Yeah, Shaggy Man and Polychrome ate the same thing, and Polychrome's mist cakes are just these like tiny little sparkling pearls on this little plate. It sounds so
I picture
sweet.
like in ants when they like Have you seen
Oh, the
ants when they, like,
dewdrops?
suck the dewdrops.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's like that.
But after breakfast, the little brown donkey leads them to the end of town. And he's like, okay, by the way, King Kikabray says don't forget his invitation. And Dorothy's like, I won't.
Yeah, leave me
Jesus
alone.
Christ.
So they begin their walk again, and the road has beautiful flowers around it and trees. But like they're a pretty strange group. Like Polychrome is just like dancing out ahead of them, like in her fluttering robes, and she's just fucking going for it. And then Toto's prancing around. Dorothy's holding Button Bright's hand, so it's this little girl with like a fox-headed sailor suit boy next to her. And then the donkey-headed shaggy man is just like trudging in the back.
Yeah.
So they're a
Elf-
motley crew.
L. Frank Baum says there was probably never a stranger crew walking together.
Yeah.
But I mean, Dorothy's always got some ugly friends.
Yeah,
let's be
she's got
honest.
Yeah.
some weird shit
However,
going on.
Polychrome was the first girl she's ever met in her travels, other than Ozma,
It's true.
who Ozma is a main character.
Yeah.
So,
It's true.
you know,
and
it's
they
a little different.
technically, or I guess they have traveled together when they went to the Gnome King.
Yeah, in Ozma of Oz.
But they weren't lost.
Yeah, they weren't lost. It was like, oh, like let's meet and now we're friends. Okay,
Mhm.
which I guess is true of everyone. Dorothy.
That was more of a
fucking meets.
mission.
But yeah, and we already knew Ozma. So,
Yeah.
but that is the end of Chapter 7, the Shaggy Man's transformation. And Blake, what would you call that?
I'm calling that chapter Deja Vu because we just read the same chapter twice. I'm telling you.
Yeah, basically.
I was
actually.
hoping you'd make like a Chapter 4 joke.
Thank you for listening to Oz Hour. Please join us next time as we continue with Chapter 8, The Musicer. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Oz Hour Podcast for the latest on everything Oz. Oz Hour, created and hosted by Blake Stone and Wyatt Swingham. Co-hosted by Hannah Aguirre. Audio production by Charlie Johnson. Theme music written and performed by Rudy Klobus. Cover art by Valentin Lucas.